I fucking hate children. They literally make me sick. When I see babies in a commercial, I start to gag and almost throw up, and I have to look away and mute it. And when I see babies in a stroller, especially when they're crying, I just want to put my foot through the fucking thing and step on it until it's nothing but blood and pulp on the fucking pavement!
There's always that one guy on YouTube who just takes things way too far, and somehow people still watch him just to see what he has next up, and that guy is Vegan Gains. Rated Burgers or Vegan Gains started brainwashing content online, but not in a normal way. This nigga yells, threatens people, makes fun of sick people, even tried to post videos of his family in bad situations, like the time his granddad was having a heart attack and he caught it all on camera instead of helping him.
If you've seen my last Q&A video, you'd know that my grandfather recently died of a heart attack, and I just got back from the funeral thing that we had. It wasn't exactly a funeral, but a bunch of family got together and I was dragged to it. But anyway, I was planning on showing you guys footage of my grandfather actually having the heart attack. As soon as the paramedics got to the house, I took out my camera and started filming. But a bunch of people in my family, my mom, my grandmother, uncles, shit like that, they threw a big fucking fit about me showing that footage on YouTube. They're perfectly fucking fine with eating foods that cause fucking heart disease and make people actually die of fucking heart attacks. But when it comes to actually showing people what happens when they eat these foods, that's just too much.
So Vegan disappeared off the internet for a while and recently came back, and the reason was because he just came out of a divorce and needs a place to express himself, which is streaming.
Or I should say atherosclerotic coronary artery disease or atherosclerotic heart disease.
How do you feel about the angiogram that shows that?
Well, angiograms aren't an imaging technique that can actually show you reductions in plaque volume. So you can find stenoses, and stenoses can improve, but it doesn't actually show you an improvement in plaque volume, and depending on the angle of the angiography, you can see a stenosed artery, but if you turn the image slightly, so you take the image at a different angle, well, then it doesn't look stenosed. So it's just not an appropriate imaging technique.
So going back to the early days, Richard was born in 1991 in Canada. He says his grandpa wasn't nice to him growing up, which might explain why he's quite lunatic today. He started posting videos about veganism and just going full crash out on people who ate meat, like not in a normal, hey, maybe try a vegan way, but he lost his mind as if he would nuke the individual's country.
Vegetarians and vegans how to become the best versions of themselves.
Interesting question for my buddy James. Basically, he's been a vegan for several years, and his sex drive is horrible. He owes it to years and years of eating like a vegan. And the reason why he knows that it has been a byproduct of his diet is because he watched one of my videos last week where I said, look, if you're having trouble sleeping, and apparently he was as well, add some protein and fat type meals to the end of your day as opposed to high carbohydrate meals. He took my advice, and boom! Getting sleep.
Okay, first of all, high protein foods inhibit serotonin production, making it harder to sleep.
Best version of yourself.
And secondly, what the fuck does meat have to do with this? You know there are some high protein and fat plant foods, right?
Go figure, right? Nourish your body with the foods that mankind has eaten since the dawn of creation, and your dick works and you get a good night's sleep.
And when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, just make an appeal to nature fallacy. It sounds so romantic when you say, it's the foods we're born to eat, doesn't it? Well, sorry but not sorry, but it appears we have made no physiological adaptations to eat meat, and even the editor-in-chief of the American College of Cardiology, Dr. William C. Roberts, has stated that only herbivorous animals can develop atherosclerosis. Therefore, we have the lipid metabolism of a fucking herbivore. Funny how you claim we've evolved to eat meat, yet meat raises our cholesterol levels, which ends up clogging our arteries and killing us. I'd imagine if we had evolved to eat meat, it wouldn't end up being our #1 killer.
So why do people hate this guy? This guy does some messed up stuff. You know, like the Furious Pete situation. Pete got testicle cancer and Richard made fun of it in videos.
Vegans for criticizing you. Have you ever heard of the saying, all it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing? Well, vegans don't want to do nothing. That's why we're going out of our way to criticize public figures like you. There is no argument in this video. All you're doing is whining and crying about not being able to torture and kill animals without criticism. You're a piece of shit. There's no problem with veganism. You're the fucking problem. And it can't be brain cancer that's making you this stupid, since you were doing the same shit before you got cancer the first time. So you were just born retarded. And you know what? I'm actually going to have to change my charts. You're now #1. Sorry, Lex, but there's a bigger retard than you.
His grandpa situation, his grandpa had a heart attack and he filmed it. Tried to post it online. His family flipped out and immediately told him to just get the fuck out of the house and take away that video immediately.
Room saying, I think Barry, my grandfather's name is Barry, is having a heart attack. Then I went out into the living room, saw him just not really being responsive, and yeah, he was having a fucking heart attack. I called 911. They told me to perform CPR on him until the paramedics got there. So I was performing CPR on him for a few minutes until the paramedics got there. Then I took out my camera, started filming, and of course you can't see the footage, but that's what happened. Now, why this heart attack happened, it's obvious. He was eating like absolute fucking shit. He had a heart attack about 60 years ago, and again, that was from eating like absolute shit, not exercising, and he's really fucking lucky to have lived this long. I think he has a genetic resistance to heart disease and cancer. There's no fucking way he should have been alive for this long, but he managed, and 20 years ago he cleaned his diet up after that heart attack, and he started walking every day, and he was doing pretty well. But recently his brother got cancer and his brother died, and I think that just, you know, sent him kind of out of control and off the rails. And yeah, for the last few years his diet was just fucking terrible.
Crash out threats. He's threatening people online, said he hates babies and he would step on it, and even got so crazy that, you know, he pulled out a knife. He pulled out a knife and I guess he wanted to cut his neck open. This guy was an actual lunatic. Even most vegans think he's crazy. Only a few really hardcore fans stick with him, but those ones need some serious time with God. And Mr. Vegan Gains has a lot of beef with a lot of YouTubers. He also went after other creators like Charlie, and you know, Vegan Gains kept yelling at Charlie for eating meat. Charlie made one video destroying him, and everyone saw how ridiculous Richard looked.
Insanity shit that made it look like he had just escaped from Arkham Asylum. He would make videos talking about murdering meat eaters and stomping on babies' skulls. It was deplorable shit, but it seems like he's really like mellowed out, calmed down, and he did make a very level-headed video about this topic. At least in my opinion, I felt it was pretty level-headed. So I respected that, and I actually did want to make a response to it. In a nutshell, Vegan Gains says that the video I made with the YouTuber So Young, the woman who tortures and eats animals alive for mukbangs on YouTube, is a video I had no right to make and makes me a hypocrite because I recently made that sausage video 2 days ago, and in that sausage video I had KFC there. So he argues that I am just as bad, if not worse, than So Young because I eat meat. And I think it's totally fair to have that opinion. I personally disagree with it, and I think the majority of people would. It's a bit of a leap to compare eating a chicken tender to a woman beheading a squid and pouring sauce on it to watch it squirm around and dance on a YouTube video that's supposed to entertain children. They're not exactly the same thing. They're not exactly the left and right ass cheek on the same ass here. You know, not Coke and Pepsi. They're not the two sides of the same coin.
So what's left of this guy called Mr. Vegan Gains? YouTube deleted his channel for a while in 2019. it came back, but a lot of his old brain rotted videos were gone. Now he posts streaming videos where he talks on his experience being married and shares how he rushed into marrying someone with just a year of knowing them, and there was long distance relationship.
Canada.
Okay. How can I
Yeah,
help you?
so I've had a interesting, I don't know what this, I have no idea what that was. Well, I've had an interesting few years. I got married when I think I was 23, 24. I was dating my wife for about a year before we got married, and we just recently decided to separate. And I'm not hurt about it. You know, the relationship kind of ran its course. I learned a lot from the whole experience. Kind of learned that people are the way they are. If you kind of notice, even with younger women, like there's this idea that you can kind of mold them into what you want to be. People are the way they are. And women kind of play these games where they'll act as though they have kind of interest in your type of hobbies and kind of act as though, oh yeah, I want to like, like ride bikes with you or something. I'm big into motorcycles. And then it turns out once you're married and once they realize like, okay, things are locked in, they get very complacent. And I think that's part of why the relationship kind of failed. It was kind of doomed from the beginning, and we just weren't kind of perfect for each other. And yeah, I think being in that kind of situation where you're married and there's a pretty good certainty that you can't just walk out, you know, if things aren't kind of going the way you want them to go, you can't say, I think we're going to part ways. I'm just going to date somebody else. And that kind of makes women complacent. And I've learned marriage is just a bad idea for men. My divorce definitely isn't going poorly. She's not like a terrible person or anything. It was an amicable breakup, so I don't have to pay like alimony. I haven't lost like half my money.
And it goes to show that he struggles to get bitches. So the one girl he had, he was desperate to make things work quickly, but led to his ex-wife saying she didn't want to have sex with him, being that it hurt to her and doesn't like to have a vagina stretched out, which is completely diabolical and sad to hear.
So when would you argue for an hour to get her to take her clothes off? Was the sex enjoyable? What about for her? Was she enjoying it? Well, it's not like, it was a constant thing. Like when she gained weight, she was really reluctant to ever take her clothes off. So, every week or two, I'd have to kind of encourage her. And on a couple occasions, we got into a big fight about it. The sex was enjoyable for me. She is kind of sensitive. Like she would complain about sex being painful. Like, so she would often complain about just getting stretched out a fair bit. And sometimes she'd like bleed and stuff. So she would often complain about just getting stretched out a fair bit, and sometimes
I mean, if a woman tells you she doesn't like to have her shit stretched out, she does not like you, because I'm being honest, women love sex, and if you really see the game for what it is, you're not gonna hate me for saying this. So let me know in the comments, does it deserve this meltdown? Enough yapping, peace out.
Bye, have a great time.